Today we are with Mr. Mfayela, and how we met Mr. Mfayela is that we actually saw his house, sometime last year when we were passing through with my husband using actually a different route than we usually do. And as we were passing, we saw a house up the hill with solar panels, and we got curious because that is something that we are also interested in as a form of energy for our home. So we thought that we would one day come and just ask the owner of the property we saw, and just to get a bit of information, because we also want to get off the grid. So when we came, we found his daughter, and she gave us a little bit of information, and we thought, wow, we actually like to meet Mr. Mfayela himself. So here he is today. Sanibona baba.
Sawubona Mnija.
Siyaphila.
Kuhle.
Yeah. Baba, ngicela just usichazele, because a lot of our viewers the questions that we mostly get asked is ukuthi umuntu, how do you actually get umhlaba noma indawo emakhaya? So I'd like to know ukuthi, how did you actually acquire your land? Was it ancestral land that got passed down? Noma did you have to buy it?
In our case, this is in our ancestral land. We've been here for generations, with a lot of history, and we are hoping to build on that history going forward, to help the younger generations as well to identify with the land and the way of life.
So umang, like you're saying, ukuthi nina, it's ancestral land. When it's ancestral land, you still go through the process of ubegwa. Normal, that one you don't do, because we had to go through that process.
No, we don't, because although there are 3 households on this land, with the same family, but the land is not divided.
Okay.
So we don't have to go through that process. We just inform the authorities that we are now building another sub-home on the land, and explain our reasons. But we don't have to go through the process of Konza and all that. As I say, we've got a lot of history on this land. A lot of it, as a newcomer, you would not know about it, and our systems are a bit mixed up now.
Okay.
But we try as much as possible to stick to what we know and to what it means to have access to this piece of land.
And do you have an idea, mhlawumbe ukuthi, how many generations of your family has actually been on this part of the land?
5 generations.
5 generations.
Yes.
So is this back from you going 5 normal, including you going down to your children and grandchildren?
Okay, let's start. Let me try before I miscalculate. For easy maths, let's start from me.
Okay, let's start.
It's me. It's my father. It's my grandfather. It's my great-grandfather. It's his father. And his father. So from me, it's actually 6
generations.
Yes.
So now when we're also counting your children and grandchildren, that's 8 generations.
Yes.
That have been on this land.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So what is it that made you decide as we usually know, ukuthi abantu in these modern times, once umuntu grows up, noma comes of age, they leave, they go to the cities, they go to Gauteng and all over the country. They don't stay in the rural areas like you have. What is it that made you decide that this is where you're gonna build a home and raise your family?
Um, there is, as I indicated earlier on, there's a lot of history and attachment we have with this land as a family. So whether you meet me in New York, whether you meet me in London, whether you meet me in Lagos, when we speak and you ask me, where do you come from? I never say Devon.
Okay, that's interesting.
I always say I come from Dwedu.
Yes.
And I take pleasure in explaining to you where that is physically, and I take pleasure in locating that for you in the historical map of South Africa. So, no place in the world has come even close to replacing this. Not one.
So I'd like to just then, from what you're saying, just maybe if you can give us just a little bit of that history that you pride yourself so much about, just so our viewers can get an idea of what is it that you're actually talking about.
Do you have time?
We can just briefly on it and then we'll come back again.
Okay. Maybe let me try a summary.
Yes.
First of all, as a family, we are part of the Tonga group. The Mfayelas are part of the Dembe group.
Okay.
For reasons that have not been explained to us in full in the generations that I've spoken about, our line within the Tembe group decided to move from north to around King Indlovu.
Okay.
So, and there were a lot of skirmishes there around the time of Nkosi Ushaka. That affected us directly as a family. So we ended up here as part of that. So for us as a family, this piece of land is part of that history, the family history. And as a family as well, we've contributed through generations immensely to the development and of this piece of land. Very few people know, for instance, that just about 2 kilometers from here, 3 kilometers from here, you have another epicenter of the 1906 rebellion.
Okay.
From the time we were young, we lived with that history. My grandmother, for instance, didn't know her father because when she was born, her father had been arrested and he never came back. But at the time of his arrest, the family saw his name being written in big books. So when this child was born, baby girl, the family named her Nomapu because her father's name had been written in these big books. One of the first people to be executed by the state in this country come from across the river here. So we became part of that history. My grandfather and his brothers got terribly immersed in that history. That formed the way we think, the way we do things. So I guess it's more than just a piece of land.
It's a part of who you are now,
yes,
yourself.
yes.
And what would you say is the importance of people either going back to the different rural areas where they come from, or moving out of the cities and going back into rural areas? What would you say for you is the significance of that?
Okay, there are a number of issues that possibly I would like to raise. In my life, because I have this, and no one can take this away from me. Um, I've been able to take immense risks, and I've been able to be my own person because I have this thing that no one can take away from me. During my political life, in business, I didn't have to really stand for something I don't like.
Okay.
So I had space always
Okay.
to speak my own mind and pursue my own way, well, of course, respecting others. So this gives this kind of security, I think, to people who understand what this means.
Okay.
The second thing is, you see, um, when you can connect with your history, at least for me, I'm part of those who believe that when you connect with your history and do so properly, it helps you get grounded as a human being. Um, you have a structure in your life. Um, uh, you have a degree of assurance around you just as a person. The third thing is, besides the shining lights, the cities are not going to be able to deal with the demand for opportunities that are placed upon them. So, for the future of this country, we better begin to think very seriously, how do we take people out of the cities back to the land, and how do we sustain them there without going to the cities? Uh, so if I could be an example for a few people, that is okay to be here, um, I'll do that. Even if it's only for my family, to teach people that, look, the lights you see in Durban, the streets you see in Durban are only good to that degree. You can establish a real red good life back home. So if I can do that, even if only in the family environment, because I only believe that the attraction that city gives to people is actually fatal for the country, because the cities are never ever going to be able to meet the expectation uh, that people have as they take their bags and move to the city.
You mentioned the other day, and it stood out for me, and I just want you to elaborate, if possible. You said, Guti, people in the olden days, they valued their independence. Can you please just elaborate on that, Guti? What did you mean when you said they valued their independence?
You see, having spent some time involved in politics, we speak a lot about being independent, being able to shatter your own course. I always think back on my grandfather had three wives. Um, I always think back how independent they were of each other, how independent they were of my grandfather. Um, um, and how much pride they took in that, whilst at the same time they were all extremely interdependent. I always avoid to give an impression that my situation is an example of each and every other family. Um, Nature provided an amazing environment for us, me and my brothers, in that um, my grandfather had two brothers. Both of them passed away. So he remained alone. He had three wives. Um, he was only blessed with one son, my father.
Interesting.
Yeah. For up possibly up to about age 8 or so, I thought it was possible for one person to have three mothers. I honestly thought, because I had no reason to ask who of the three is my actual grandmother. Uh, because they shared my father equally. They shared me and my brothers equally. In fact, the the elder wife, was more protective of us. Um, and even the membership of this family, my grandmothers did not, their membership of this family was not dependent on my grandfather. They were like independent members of this family. We've got big pieces of land here. We know each piece. This piece, Elamakumbani. That piece, Elamangwabi. That piece, Elamadlala. They had complete authority over that. What they planned, when they planned, was their business. There was no occasion where my grandfather could wake up one day and decide to give away any of those pieces uh, um, to his friend or any person, because these women were jealously guarding their fields, and the produce from those fields was something that they, they liked. We'll sit here and sing and dance um, my grandfather and his group, man, they were in top of the world. I mean, they were in charge of things. They influenced what happens at the tribal court. They had the ability to speak their minds in front of their chief. And when when they the cause to say no, they'll say no without flinching. Um, um, the government will come up with a wonderful program. No, we are going to, as government, we are going to build dipping tanks for you, and once a week you must come and bring your cattle for dipping. They'll say no, we're not bringing our cattle, so that you can sit down and calculate how many cattle we have, because that's going to be followed by some rule. Once you know how many cattle you have, some rule is going to come after that. So no, we are going to treat our cattle ourselves. Um, you'll see, for instance, the pattern of building here. Government had a major drive for people to move next to main road. They said no. We are okay here. Um, and the whole 1906 thing was people here saying two things. Firstly, no taxation without representation. And secondly, even though the British thought they had separated Zulus from north of Tugela River and Zulus from south of Tugela River, but when it came to serious issues, Zulus south of Tugela River went and consulted with King Dinuzulu, which angered the Zulus, the British immensely. So they some days when I look at things happening in the country and society, I look back and marvel what those women and men will do faced with the same circumstances.
Something I wonder myself. Something I wonder myself.
Yeah.
And what would you say, just looking at the state of things now, what would you say for young people like myself who are actually going out of their way, let me just put it like that, to do things differently, in the sense of going out of the norm, you know, not doing things the way kujwayeleke ngakhona ukuthi vele we all go to the cities. But what would you say in order for us ukuthi kungagcini with just maybe 3 of us that are doing this? How do we make sure that we grow this, let me call it a movement of whether young people, whether next generation, how do we make sure that we are actually also instilling these values in our children, and they also nabo baqhubeke ngayo, and also we not just look at ourselves, but we also bring in more people?
I think the first thing for me is to be the best example possible of rural life, in the things you do, without really going overboard, just making your life as comfortable as possible, so that the next person who looks at you is able to say, hey, it's possible. And at every given opportunity, shine a light to that for young people wherever they are. The second thing is, for me, Those who are in rural areas already need to somehow find a way of making rural life profitable. We need to begin to have livestock. We need to begin to plant vegetables, and we need to begin to come together, sell these, have our own markets. Because truth be told, any child who lives in Durban now to go to Durban because they think they're going to get a job, the likelihood is that they're going to be disappointed. The next thing, which is extremely critical, which I think is something that we have failed badly, is our schooling system. You know, there was a time when a parent living in Soweto, Kukuletu, Kwamashu, whatever township there is in South Africa, will actually take their children to go and be educated in rural areas. So this process of moving children to town is actually new. The older process, the other way around. Because the best schools were in rural areas, initially built by missionaries. And then came the homeland governments, and they provided what was perceived to be good education. So now, for any young couple, if you can show them a good school, the likelihood is that they are going to move there. Yes, and now that's one area we have failed dismally. If we could find some way of coming together and reversing it, I think it will have massive impact. Yeah. Now, there are two hindrances to that. Firstly, government insists that they are in charge of everything. And secondly, we are prepared to give up all our power to government. Because when I was growing up, because we hated the government, we kept all our power to ourselves and we did things ourselves. Most of the schools here in the area, for instance, were built by the community. The chief would call a meeting. Members of the community, parents, those who are not parents, would put money together. They'll build a school. They'll contribute monthly to the salary of teachers.
Wow. Wow.
Then came KwaZulu government. KwaZulu government said, look, how much did it cost you to build that school? And then we'll say, hey, it cost us 30,000 rands. Then KwaZulu government will give us another 30,000 rands to build extra classrooms and provide extra teachers. So in that way, as a community, we provided for ourselves. Now, we've learned this bad culture of accepting gifts. Although actually they are not gifts, but let's just call them gifts for the sake of this discussion. We've accepted gifts, even though they're actually substandard to what we deserve. But we are prepared to live with it. In these communities, it never used to be like that.
think that the problem is that we don't even engage. I was gonna say we don't engage enough with our elders, but we don't engage with our elders at all.
Mm.
For in order for us to actually have this information that you're sharing today, because I feel like it's very empowering. So I think that if also we spent more time with our elders and we got the history, we got to ask a little bit more questions. Ukuthi gogo mkhulu baba, tell me a little bit of your history. Nifike kanjani lana? Tell me about your upbringing. I think that we would actually learn quite a lot from our elders.
The pity is that young people don't even read. When my children see me reading the books I read, they look at me as if, where do you come from? Yeah, and these books sometimes they help you connect the dots, but well, I guess it's a different environment.
My last question, Baba Uguti, since we also spoke about Uguti, some of the things that we need to do, Tina, that are already living in rural areas, is to show Uguti umuntu can still have a comfortable life. I just want, if possible, Uguti usichazele a little bit how you are able to to have your how basically the solar power is working here, and also just a little bit about the borehole. Maybe you can just briefly tell us, Guti, is it because you mentioned Guti, you have 3 homes here. Is it what's the word? Is it basically in use like by the 3 households?
Yes.
Wow. So you don't even need basically to depend again, because now I wanna also just go back to what you were saying about that independence. So you're not dependent on municipal water at all. Wow. And basically just a little bit about the solar, just how that works and how is it also supplying the entire household, as in the 3 household, or
No,
just this one?
for now, solar only works here.
Just here.
Yeah. Well, the story of these things began about 8 years ago. I would say, although it makes sense to have them, but about 8 years or so ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And the reality hit me that there are times when I'm going to be needing electricity to support my life as an absolute necessity. There are times when I'm going to need water as an absolute necessity. So the solar and the water were by and large a product of that. So whatever savings I had, I thought, Lord, let me just put it there, and ensure that I make my life as comfortable as possible, so that I'm able to deal with the stress in a much more calm environment. Because this thing of water
Today it's here, tomorrow it's not
tomorrow
there.
is not there, and no one is prepared to give you any explanation, causes extreme stress.
It's true.
Yeah, so I went out, got quotations. The system I have right now is good to service me for about 6 hours.
Okay. Okay.
I need about 2, 3 more batteries
Okay.
to be able to run for more than that. So I'm still connected to the grid.
Okay.
Um, and in cases of load shedding to the extreme as we have them now,
Yes.
I've got to be, when the power is out, I've got to be careful how I utilize
Okay.
the power that is stored in the battery
Okay.
so that it lasts me through the period.
Okay.
But it's big help.
Okay.
I am never out of electricity for a long time. If I mass up sufficient resources and buy 3, 4 more batteries, then
It'd be set.
I'll, I'll, be,
Yes.
I'll be okay.
So right now you have, is it 12 panels?
I think it's 12 years.
Oh.
Yes.
And with how many batteries?
6.
6. So basically you're looking at maybe having 10,
Yes.
10 in
Yes.
total, just to keep you
Yes.
completely off the grid.
Yeah. The panels are sufficient to take another 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 more batteries.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. During the day, I produce sufficient. I don't need.
Yeah.
I don't need
super
any.
hot for today.
Yeah. I don't need to rely on anything else during the day. If 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 for some reason load shedding starts at 6:30 or 7, I can survive until about 12 midnight.
Okay.
By that time, I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I become conservative in the usage, um, decide to sleep at 9. Um, don't use things like a microwave and water kettle and things like that. It lasts me the night.
Have you ever had to replace anything in the years that you've had them?
No. And now it's about 3 years.
About 3 years now. In winter, the solar panels, in terms of Ubuntu, the ilanga, there's still enough sun.
There's still sufficient.
Being that way, yeah. Okay.
There's still sufficient sun. Because I think I managed to get good experts who came here for days to measure
Okay.
the sun direction in the morning.
We don't just get any
No. It's going to cost you a bit more, but please don't go to Verulam and find some corner shop with solar panels and buy them. You need someone who's going to say, hey, 80% of your time the sun comes from this direction. By midday it's there. Most of your days the sun sets at this point. When it sets, it's in this direction. So it's the whole study.
Yeah. Okay.
Same as the ball.
Okay. You don't just ngifuna lapha.
No. I don't know Sotho, but I can say yeah, ma.
Yeah.
You have this like magic men who come.
Oh yeah, with those things, is it, that find water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we walked from this direction right up to that direction, and we walked all over. And eventually, he said, you see here, 75% chance we're going to find water here. So once we have that signature of that magic man, then you can pay for the truck.
Yeah, to
come and drill.
Yes.
Then the truck then tells you that, we found water. It's sitting at 80 meters. It's sitting at 100 meters. Then you go and buy an appropriate pump.
Okay.
That then pumps water to your reservoir.
Okay, so it's not that it just pumps and then it goes into the house. You need to have a reservoir.
Yeah, it works better. For instance, the water tanks at the top.
Yes.
That's my reservoir.
Also, it's not rainwater. You don't collect any rainwater.
No, behind the house, I collect rainwater.
Oh, lapaya.
For drainage purposes here.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But at the top,
yes.
that's my reservoir.
Okay.
So I pump water here to the top, the six.
Oh.
The 610.
So it's not there. The borehole is not there.
No.
Okay.
As you drive through the gate, that's where my borehole is.
Okay.
Then it pumps water to the top.
Yeah.
And then gravity brings water here to my brother and to my other brother.
That is so powerful. There's a whole household, Lana. There's 2 households as well that are literally being supplied by the same bowl. Wow.
My youngest brother, as you turn left coming here,
yes,
there's a site on your immediate left. Yes. That site belongs to my youngest brother.
Okay.
One day I was sitting here and I saw sand and stone trucks coming through. And then he called. I'm building now. So there's going to be a fourth one.
A 4th household.
Yeah, just now. So I said, okay, before I jinx this whole thing, I must say, hey, Siabong. Before I mustn't talk too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's going to be coming through as well. He's going to start building. We've got sufficient water here to
provide for the household.
For him as well.
I think there's power in that, Ngoba. It means that your children as well, they still grow up ngalento ukuthi we are brothers, we are sisters. Unlike lento sesijwayele, they are my cousins. They are ngoba also they are in another province, you are in another province, but the way vele sazingakhona ukuthi we are actually siblings, you feel it more when you're also living in this way. I think there's power in that.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
It's an uphill battle because we grew up here with the history of this family, and everyone who grew up here have relatively an understanding of what this place is about. Then you get married. Then things begin to shift.
Yeah.
You see, for instance, we were 5 brothers. One brother passed away about 2 years ago, followed by my mother 3 weeks later. So it was a very tough period for the family. We didn't think about stuff. Things just fell into place. When I walk in here and I see them bringing food to me, naturally I phone him. Are you coming this side? Yes. How long are you going to? No, maybe about an hour or so. I keep this food. My brothers are on the way. We'll eat together. But tell that to my children.
food is here, we eat now.
Yeah, I eat my food now. Anyone who's not here, they'll fend for themselves. You know, so my two youngest boys are at Kesn.
Okay.
Um, I've got to spend some time trying to manage that because I've been fortunate to afford something like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I am fully aware what they are losing
Yeah.
by being there. So now trying to manage that is something else.
Yeah.
Um, um, just telling them that boy, listen. At Kesney, you are seeing only about 6% of what South Africa is about. There's all 94, 95% of what South Africa is all about that Kes will never teach you about. So keep your eyes wide and learn. Most of the stuff that's going to help you is not at Kesn. Kesn is going to give you tools, and you must use those tools to learn. Other stuff they're not going to teach you. Because if you think this is it, the chances are you're going to be a monumental failure. So Kanya, well, you'll speak to her if you have to. Is only now beginning to know the relatives of this family because you can understand we haven't been here for such a long time. Almost everyone is a relative.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the information. I haven't gotten enough, to be honest. So I'm still coming back. I'll make an appointment again at some other point because now I just feel that the history is very important. The knowledge is very important. And I feel that it needs to be preserved.
Yeah.
We cannot let you leave with all that information and history. So it has to be preserved in some way or the other. So thank you so much, Baba. I appreciate it.
No, you're most welcome.